subscribe. Tariq Radio. Like and subscribe.
All right, we're in the building, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the building. Round of applause to you. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause to you. We are definitely in the building, ready to chop it up. Glad to have all of you good folks in here with me. I think we're on time tonight. We're on time. I'm still out here in the Montana, Idaho area. Shout out to everybody in here. Shout out to everybody out here. We're doing our nature thing still, and we are chilling with the family. But I'm here with you guys, and we're ready to chop it up. Before I get started, let me shout out many of the regulars that's in the room. And while I'm doing that, I need y'all to give me a nice retweet. That would be phenomenal. We got Viral Drip, King Troy. We got Jess. We got Hakeem. We got FBA Law. We got Stone, Zono, Kai, Concern, Maroc, Rhonda, Sweets, Lolo, Me. We got Smack, Kamal, Highland, Ty Powell. We got the Prototype. We got Miss Melanie, Sexy D. We have KK, Lola. We have Stephanie. We have 215 Lil. And we have Mr. Ryan Locks in the building. So much respect, everybody. Glad to have y'all in here. You guys give me some good retweets. That'll be great. So right now, people, a lot of folks are still talking about the Essence Fest controversy. It's getting deeper and deeper and deeper, ladies and gentlemen. More and more people are calling Essence Magazine and the Essence Fest out. There are a lot of complaints coming in. We've been talking about Essence Magazine and the downfall of it I've been talking about it for damn near a decade. I put up some of my old tweets earlier today. Y'all go look at my tweets. I got tweets going back to damn near a decade ago saying how Essence is falling off. When they start putting all them tethers up there to misrepresent our culture, I was calling them out early. Now everybody sees what the business is. Now it's in play. Now that play is right now in action, as I told people years ago. Now with the Essence Fest, I did a broadcast about it the other day, but we're going to discuss it more because more people are calling out the foolery that happened with it. Now the Essence Fest, as we know, Essence Fest has been a staple in foundation of Black American culture for a minute. I think they started the Essence Fest in 94, 95, something like that. And you would have some of these phenomenal FBA legendary artists performing. It was a nice vibe out there in New Orleans. It reflected our FBA culture. That's when Essence Magazine knew the assignment. They had the right people at the top brass. Even the non-FBAs at Essence, they knew what the assignment was, because a lot of people are saying, oh, Essence should go back to the Susan L. Taylor days. Y'all remember Susan L. Taylor. She was the longtime editor-in-chief of Essence Magazine. And she was all in the media. And as in Susan L. Taylor, she was pretty cool. But the thing is, Susan L. Taylor is Caribbean. Her parents are Caribbean. I don't know, a lot of folks don't know that. Y'all should have known that, because Susan Taylor, lovely woman, very sweet woman, but y'all remember how big her forehead was? Susan Taylor had a forehead. That was a forehead that was very non-FBA. She had a very non-FBA forehead. Sweet woman, though. Sweet woman. She did the right thing at the magazine. But, I knew back in the day as a kid, where's she from? They don't have foreheads like this in my neighborhood. She was the editor-in-chief, I think, starting in 1981 up until the 90s, I think. But the thing is, Essence, it was started by 4 foundational Black American men. Some FBA brothers started it because they wanted to uplift black women. And I think she was a Susan L. Taylor was like a fashion editor at one point, and later on they elevated her to the editor in chief. But the thing is, once Essence started to change hands, I know at one point they sold it to Time Warner, and then later some non-FBAs got it. They got more control over it. And let's be very honest, when the non-FBA, hell, it started to really hit a snag when Time Warner got it, to be honest. It kind of started to hit a snag. And when the non-FBAs took control of everything, let's just be real, it started going downhill and we started calling it out. Now, I'm not trying to bash the non-FBAs, but I mean, when Essence, when the owners and the editor in chiefs, who's the Kenyan woman and all that, when it started to get into non-FBA hands and they started bringing on all of these non-FBA writers, and I'm telling y'all, like over a decade ago, some of the articles and some of the stuff they was putting out, it was some bullshit. A lot of it was low-key attacking us, and we were calling it out a long time ago, family. They were putting some bullshit in Essence. Y'all remember we were calling them out? They were doing these stories, these weird ass stories, like 8 ways to find a white man and toxic black masculinity. Yeah, y'all remember that? They got on that. And we were calling that out. We were saying, hey, these are foreigners who don't represent our culture pushing this filth. We're getting attacked by these magazines now as a culture. And then we start looking at the names of the people who's putting these articles together and who's running it. It was people who were not from our community. And we were telling people over a decade ago, that's a problem. That's a damn problem. Now people are seeing it for what it is. But let's go back to the Susan Taylor thing. Excuse me. Let's go back to the Susan Taylor thing. Why was Susan Taylor on code? Which was cool. That's all we want. If you come over here, you're not an FBA. If you're on code with us and you do the right thing and you're uplifting the community, we have no problem with you. When Susan L. Taylor was there, she was pretty much uplifting black womanhood. She wasn't doing all that foolery. When the tether class came in, that's when the bullshit came in. Now, what was different, family? Let's look at history here. Let's understand something. When Essence first started, it was started in 1970. I think the first publication came out around 1970. And we understand at that time, you're coming right into the height of the Black Power movement, 1970, 69, 70, 71. I mean, we were still on that Black Power wave. Everybody's rocking afros. So we were right in the storm of Black Power and Black foundational American power. You understand? And a lot of these non-FBA immigrants at the time, like the Susan Taylors, they understood generally that they were guests in a Black FBA-led struggle. These people know that, we are distinct lineage. So a lot of these non-FBA immigrants, first gen and second gen and everything else, like I think Susan Taylor, I know her parents are Caribbean. I think she was born here, but her parents are Caribbean. But she understood that she was part of a society where we, Foundation of Black Americans, we had already fought for the Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, all of that stuff. That was fresh in the lexicon. So the tone among a lot of these early non-FBAs, they had more gratitude and humility to a certain degree because they directly benefited for what FBAs sacrificed and bled for. You understand? And at the time, Black American culture dominated the media. 1970, man, we were all over the place. Music all over the place, fashion. We're all in the international media, the massive political movements. So yeah, FBA culture, starting in the 70s, was globally dominant. Soul, jazz, funk. I mean, civil rights. It wasn't just influential. We were the damn blueprint at that time. All eyes were on foundational Black Americans in the 70s. So to disrespect that culture, that was a no-no. That wasn't going to be allowed at that time. That you would isolate yourself from power, from relevance, from opportunity. So people had to align with our culture out of respect and out of necessity. You understand? Because we were still gatekeeping at that time. You couldn't disrespect us. We weren't having, listen, how many of y'all grew up in the 70s and 80s? Can you raise your hand? Who grew up? Which one of you guys were kids in the 70s and 80s? Can I see a show of hands, please? Let me see my FBA family. Which one of y'all, how many of y'all were children in the 70s and 80s? So y'all know what it was growing up. Let me look out because I know a lot of my audience is pretty young. Who were children in the 70s and 80s? All right. We got a lot of old schools up in here. Shout out to you guys. Now, listen, and I know a lot of my audience is young, but 70s and 80s growing up, Black folks weren't to be with. We weren't disrespected. Do y'all understand? We were very codified with each other. You didn't have people calling us names or none. That was a no-no. That was a major no-no. We didn't have white folks talking to us crazy. Damn sure none of these other immigrant groups. We weren't playing that shit. And it was up at that time. It was all the way damn up. You understand? We weren't bullshitting around that time. Even as small children, we weren't playing around. Nobody was going to disrespect us as an ethnic group. That wasn't happening. So that's why man, we would run white boys off the block if they even thought of doing something disrespectful. Dude, it was a whole new vibe. It was a whole new vibe. But the thing is, we were gatekeeping. And also, not only were we gatekeeping on a grassroots level at that time, um, a lot of foundational Black American figureheads had a lot of institutional control in Black media outlets and churches, magazines, civil rights groups. That's when the Black church still kind of had a backbone at that time. The Black church many of the Black churches started selling out in the 80s, but that's a whole different story. But we still had certain institutions within Black society that was Black control. Black radio, you still had the A.G. Gastons and people like that who would own radio stations. We had independent Black radio stations, a lot of independent Black magazines, held TV shows and movies. The Black exploitation film thing was popping off. Um, man, we had a lot of things going on. Don Cornelius, Soul Train, and then he owned that. Don Cornelius, he owned Soul Train. So we had a lot of institutional control at the time. So a lot of non-FBAs, if they wanted to integrate into these things, they had to be respectful because foundational Black Americans, we were the ones hiring, betting, and leading. We still had control of a lot of these magazines. Essence still controlled by foundational Black Americans. Ebony, like Johnny Johnson, he still controlled Ebony and so many other magazines. So if all of these non-FBAs from the Caribbean and Africa, they wanted to get down, you had to show respect because your boss was FBA. You see? So the power dynamic was different. You couldn't disrespect the culture and still advance. You understand? And we respected them. And with Susan Taylor, she was working with an FBA owned publication, and they gave her props. She did a great job, and they elevated her. So it was mutual respect. You did a good job. We elevated you. So there was a mutual respect there. And a lot of these non-FBA people had a closer cultural tie to the Black liberation movements. See, a lot of these early African and Caribbean immigrants, they they knew that they would benefit from the advancement of Black people in general because they lived in our neighborhoods. They didn't have these little segregated enclaves yet. So they had to live among us for the most part. And also, they were still dealing, remember this, in the 70s, you still had countries that were still dealing with colonialism and they were still trying to get their independence at the time. So they couldn't really pump their chest like they were doing something. A lot of these countries these people were coming from were still colonized. You understand? So they understood white supremacy and they aligned with a lot of FBA-led Black power and civil rights causes because they knew what it was. You see, and they knew directly that we were helping some of these African and Caribbean nations. So it had to be respect there. You see. So now the new era, what's different now, you got this new wave of these non-FBAs who come through, still coming off of the wave of what we did back in the 60s. But now, since that's been 40 years ago, when they get here, the white faces welcoming them. You understand what I'm saying? And they get sent places like out here to Montana and Wyoming to do some kind of little culture exchange. Because I told people the other day, I'm out here in Montana and in the Idaho area, and it's very, very white out here. And there are a lot of African and Caribbean immigrants. So they will bring them out here and kind of vet them. And then after they get their citizenship a little later on down the line, they get into Black society. And then there's a different mindset there. So now a lot of them are being used as weapons against foundational Black Americans. And then they get placed into these authoritative positions to undermine the damn culture. You understand? So now this new wave of non-FBAs, after Essence gets sold to Time and then they sell it to a non-FBA group of people, all of a sudden there's a bunch of disrespectful articles. There's a bunch of these editors in chiefs talking crazy, misrepresenting the brand of Essence, putting a bunch of bullshit in it, putting a bunch of zaddy worshiping in it, putting a bunch of anti-FBA male stuff in it, denigrating Black men. You understand? Putting a bunch of feminist nonsense in it. You understand? They start putting a whole bunch of this bullshit in it because now these people are going for these white sponsors now because these folks didn't have the same cultural and grassroots connections as the earlier FBA editors and owners of these publications. They knew how to go around to get Black businesses to invest in sponsorship in these magazines. They had community ties. That's why back in the day, you open up Ebony and Jet and all of that stuff, and it would be some Proline hair care products. And, they had a lot of Black and corporate things too, but they had a lot of Black sponsorships as well. Such and such funeral home here and um, such and such club there and such cigarettes there. So they would promote a lot of stuff and get a lot of sponsors from different facets of society. This new wave of immigrants who are running these magazines, they're directly only dealing with these corporate sponsors. They don't have any type of grassroots connections whatsoever because they're not from the community. So they want to do the vetting of the white corporate structure. So they're going to be the flunkies for them. And also, they're going to do the bidding for the Democrats. That's another thing. So now these so-called Black publications are now propaganda arms for the damn Democratic Party. So now they push a bunch of DNC damn talking points. All of a sudden, everything is about respecting trans. And I put up a screenshot where I was calling out Ebony Magazine. They had some shit a couple of years ago talking about what represents Black society and what represents Black power and all of this. And they got Billy Porter in a red, black, and green dress talking about we got to respect Black lives and all of that. And Black trans, we got to respect Black trans. That was on the cover of Essence. Billy Porter in a red, black, and green dress. Go look at my tweets, family. I was calling all of this stuff out. I said, man, this is something else. This is not this is something else. This is some DNC shillery. This is some corporate co-opting. So Essence has been on the bullshit for a minute. Some of us have been calling them out. I've been personally calling them out. And they got this Kenyan editor in chief. And don't she have a white wife? Ain't she's like the LGBT herself? I think she has a white wife. Yeah. So y'all know what it is. So these people have been actively now trying to rebrand Essence. They're trying to take the focus off FBA culture and they're trying to Africanize and Caribbeanize it based off the brand name. And I told people that shit is falling off. They're co opting it. These people are colonizing the Essence brand. The magazine has already gone to hell. But now the Essence Fest, that was still somewhat of a cultural significant thing in our society. The Essence Fest was something that everybody looked forward to. We had a great time with the Foundation of Black American Family down there. But in the last couple of years, we've been seeing little things and it's been getting worse. They've been tetherizing it. Now they went full tether this year. They up there running around with Jollof cups and um, crowbarring in these unknown Afro beats artists that don't nobody know. And it was just tether, tether, tether. They got a bunch of tethers organizing it who don't respect the culture. Do you understand? Because the thing about it, it's all about respect. If you're going to put something together, you have to have a certain level of respect for it. So now these top brass over at Essence, they're bringing over their tether buddies and friends and relatives to run the show, and it's gone to hell. We just got to be honest about it. It's gone straight to hell. People were complaining. The last Essence Fest that just happened, a lot of vendors were dropping out. Um, a lot of people feel like they were being scammed. The tethers are bringing over them old tether scams. They're charging people one price at the door, and then if they want to go to another section of the event, they got to pay something else, and it wasn't worth the price. So there's these tether ass scams going on now, and people weren't feeling it. The production was shoddy. Just everything was janky, janky, janky. And it got so bad, our good queen mother, legendary Stephanie Mills, who performed, they had her perform. She wrote an open letter for putting them on Front Street. Our good sister, Stephanie Mills, who's a foundational Black American icon, she wrote an open letter and put it on her Twitter account talking about the quality that has gone down. And let me read some of her open letter. See, they can't ignore this when the artist you're bringing up is complaining about how janky things is. She says, listen, dear Essence Festival organizers, I'm writing to share my feedback following my performance at this year's Essence Festival. While I remain grateful for the opportunity to have participated, my overall experience was unfortunately marred by significant production issues that negatively impacted both my performance and the artist's experience as a whole. The challenges I encountered were multifaceted and, in my view, indicative of broader organizational shortcomings. Let me pause right there. She's calling out the whole organization. She's like, this wasn't just like a little one off, a little technical difficulty here or a little technical difficulty there. What she's saying is, y'all niggas are fucked up. Y'all whole organization ain't shit right now. Y'all were messing up. Let me read the rest. The scheduling and time management were severely lacking, creating a chaotic and stressful environment backstage. This disorganization cascaded onto the stage, impacting the flow of the event and ultimately diminishing the quality of the performances. Beyond logistical issues, the technical difficulties, specifically concerning the sound system, proved deeply problematic. These issues were not isolated incidents, but rather persistent problems that severely hampered my ability to deliver my performance to the best of my ability. And I understand I wasn't alone in experiencing these problems. This lack of technical preparedness is unacceptable for an event of Essence Festival's caliber and prestige. Damn. What she's saying is y'all tethers are this thing up. That's what she's saying. Who are these tethers in here just messing it up? And also, this is the kicker. This was down in New Orleans. No Limit Art, former No Limit artist, Mia X, she wrote an open letter complaining too because they put her on the flyers promoting it like she was going to perform. Rapper Mia X, she used to be on No Limit. So she wrote a letter. I'm going to paraphrase. I'm not going to read the letter, but I'm going to paraphrase. She was like, wait a minute, Essence, I'm not feeling what you did. You guys put me on the flyer. I spoke to such and such, and it was somebody she spoke to who had some kind of foreign last name. So he was a tether. She said, I spoke with the organizer, and his name starts with a B. I can't remember what the name was, but she was like, yeah, I spoke with him and we were talking. We never signed no contract. They never gave me no deposit. So I don't know why y'all sat there putting my name on the flyer, giving the impression that I'm performing and I'm not. So yeah, I ain't feeling that. Y'all got to get it together. Again, Essence is getting called out for these little tether scammy ways. People are calling them out. You dig? And that's because this new wave of people that's up there, they don't respect the culture because they're trying to do a takeover. Yeah. Excuse me. And the thing is, man, what's happening up here while they're trying to colonize this thing and why people are calling it out, um, many of the attendees, they noticed the quality of everything being down. A lot of people were complaining about the sound. People were complaining about how folks were coming on late. There were people going on at like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. They tried to make it seem like it was the artists themselves, but no, it was the way it was organized. Everything was just organized real janky. And see, when you have this non-FBA leadership with their own agenda, that's the problem. Yeah. And the thing is, man, there's a lot of cultural opportunism without cultural investment. See, a lot of these non-FBAs, they view our FBA spaces as economic or social opportunities, not sacred cultural institutions like we do. You understand? So they see the platform as a stepping stone, not as something that requires a deep cultural investment or reverence. So as a result, they're quick to extract some resources out of it, but they're slow to kind of nurture or maintain the essence of what made the whole thing meaningful in the first place. Yeah. And a lot of these people who are now running Essence, who are non-FBA and running these events, they don't have the emotional connection to our FBA history. Because a lot of these non-FBAs, they don't share our struggle or our legacy. So they lack the emotional and historic connection. And that disconnect just leads to like surface level participation where the cultural symbols are used, but the soul and the meaning behind them, they're ignored or misrepresented. There's no way an icon like Stephanie Mills should be complaining. That's somebody who we hold up in high regard. I saw Stephanie Mills in concert not too long ago at Herb, Hattie LaBelle, and Gladys Knight. They were at the Forum. There was a Mother's Day concert a few years ago. I took my mother, my lady, and my daughter. Loved them. Loved them. You understand? We look at them different because we, as foundational Black Americans, we grew up on Stephanie Mills. You know what I'm saying? We grew up on that. We've always heard that when we were kids. So if we're promoters, let's say there's an FBA promoter, you're gonna make sure that's almost like family. You're gonna make sure she's good. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna make sure she sounds good, everything is she's gonna be comfortable. You're gonna make sure she's good. Some musty nigga who's just gotten over here, he don't care. He don't know who Stephanie Mills is or what she means. So he's just gonna go plug up some bullshit speakers from damn Walmart. And say, okay, mic check, nigga. It's gonna be that. He don't care. He's gonna do the bare minimum. And that it looks like what they got, some bare minimum bullshit. You see, because you get these folks who start prioritizing their own cultural agenda. See, once they get in little positions of power now, they'll start redirecting the platform to highlight their own ethnic backgrounds. Then they start promoting Afro beats over hip hop. I heard they were just playing Afro beat remixes all through the night. And I was hearing a whole bunch of shit. Yeah, I heard they were really crowbarring some Afro beats at the Essence Fest. Yeah. And yeah, but that type of disrespect, Stephanie Mills should not be complaining at all. That disrespect towards FBA artists and elders, now that's a problem. Excuse me. Well, there's a problem. There's a pattern where a lot of our FBA legends and pioneers are treated with less care and respect from some of these folks. You know? And these oversights, these are not just errors, that's just a lack of reverence for the culture. So that stuff should be called out. And a lot of folks are like, oh, why are you niggas trying to be divisive? No, you're not just going to do janky stuff and we not say nothing. We're not just going to be silent while you're sitting up here vandalizing the damn culture. And we've been talking about this stuff online. I've seen some tethers say, well, you niggas, you niggas saw essence. If you wanted it to stay the same, you niggas should not have sold it. Yeah, selling it is fine. If you want to sell something, that's fine. You build businesses, you sell it or whatever. That's fine. Whatever reasons you do it, you do it. But the thing is, the buyer, if you're going to use a brand, in order to keep that brand successful, you're supposed to maintain the spirit of the brand. Don't come with this bullshit now where you want to change what the brand is and the meaning and the spirit of the brand because somebody sold it to you. No, if you're going to change the shit up, instead of Essence Fest, call the shit Egoosey Fest. Just call it something else. Because yeah, you bought the brand for a reason. There's something that comes with the brand. There's a cultural legacy that comes with the brand. There's a built-in audience that comes with the brand. So you're supposed to be on brand with the brand. And that doesn't involve Jollof and bushmeat. You understand? Let me get some callers in here. Come on, fam. Let's talk about it. Let's get lifestyle child of God. Then we'll get Cheryl. Then we'll get Cosdizo. Excuse me. All right, let's get lifestyle. Hop on lifestyle. Shit. I need a Robitussin out here. Lifestyle, you in here? All right. Lifestyle ain't saying nothing. Let's try Cheryl. Well, don't raise your hand and get on if you don't want to get on. Cheryl, what's up?
How you doing, Tariq?
Hey,
I
beloved.
am.
Hey, dear, how are you?
I, I'm all right. I am so surprised. I finally got up after watching you for years.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, what city you in, Cheryl?
I'm in Atlanta.
There you go. What's on your mind, dear?
Well, any event that we do, we always honor those who passed,
Yes.
and they didn't even do nothing with Frankie Beverly.
Wow. Wow. Oh, you are
Nothing.
you serious?
Nothing with Frankie Beverly.
Wow.
Yes, and I was like, you know what? You know, y'all, they just gonna mess it up. They just gonna mess it up. Just don't go to that shit. Don't support that shit. We are not, they just gonna mess it up.
Wow.
They're gonna have to end up selling it in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely.
They are gonna have to end up selling it in the wrong long run. And I know it's hard to do, y'all, but what I've been doing here lately, I do not support no foreign businesses. I mean,
Mm.
as much as I love, Mexican or whatever, if I can't make it at home, I don't get it. I love um Caribbean dishes. I just refuse to give them my money now.
Hmm.
You know, if they want to act like that, let's not support them because without us, they wouldn't. They will go broke.
Yes.
They will
But
go
are you
broke.
serious? But they didn't say nothing about Frankie Beverly. Are you for real?
Nothing, nothing. And I'm like, we always honor. I don't care what, it could have been the BET Awards, any kind of award show. We always honor some kind of way our legends who have passed away. And Frankie Beverly, even though he's not from down that way, he's always performed. And
Yes.
I was like, wow. But anyway, Tariq, I'm gonna let you get to the other ones, and you have a good one, baby.
Thank you, dear. Man, family, is that true? Family, is that true? Is that true, family? They didn't, man. I want to really verify if that's true. They didn't honor Frankie Beverly. Family, Frankie Beverly helped put the Essence Fest on the damn map. Do y'all know that? Frankie Beverly put the damn Essence Fest on the map. I think Frankie Beverly damn near performed at all of them, didn't he? At least like 16 of them. I think they would have Frankie Beverly close out the Essence Fest. I mean, he would perform damn near every year from what I've seen, if I'm not mistaken, right? Man, my goodness, man. If they did not give props to Frankie and do a tribute to Frankie in Atlanta, not Atlanta, but New Orleans, that was one of his favorite cities to perform in. That was one of his favorite cities to perform in. Frankie Beverly and those guys always bigged up um, New Orleans. Um, One of his live albums, he did it down there in New Orleans. That's why when Frankie Beverly passed, but they did a second line for him, a beautiful second line with the streets. They packed the streets for Frankie Beverly to celebrate his transition in his life.
Hi, I'm Mateo. Do you want to learn about Hidden Heroes? Hidden Heroes from A to Z is a cool book that tells the stories of amazing black heroes you might not know about. You'll meet inventors, you'll meet explorers, and leaders who change the world. It's fun, inspiring, and you can learn so much. Get your copy now at hiddenhistorymuseum.com. Let's discover our hidden heroes together.